let's get on into some things. Today in the latest, we have some updates. Your girl love taking y'all to court. Okay? We have some updates. So first on the docket, we have Diddy. Child, I know y'all probably tired of hearing about Diddy and court and the baby oil and all of that. But to be honest with y'all, this is probably one of the most interesting updates that I've done on Diddy in some time. And it's not really much of an update. So earlier today, legal reporter, Megan Cuniff, I follow her on Twitter. You should as well. She tweeted a document from the court that explained how Brian Steele, Young Thug's attorney, and we talked about this, was officially put on record in Diddy's case for Diddy's defense. Now, this is a big deal. When we talked about this last, I told you guys how big of a deal and how great this would be for Puff if this were to happen. When that document dropped, because he's put on record. So basically that means that a judge is saying Brian Steele has done everything admissions-wise. So he's legally submitted everything he needed to submit to be able to show that he can come and stay the night over the attorney's homes in the Southern District of New York. So it's something called pro hac vice, and that just means that as a local attorney, he's going to be able to work with the other local attorneys in Diddy's case to help figure this whole thing out and to be able to represent Puff. Big deal here because Brian Steele is damn good at what he does, okay? But when this document was posted by Megan Cuniff earlier today, I was like, okay, well, that's good. But you could be put on record and he could still decide not to go forward. Money checks cannot clear. There's a lot of things that can prevent you from officially being retained. So I reached out to a source close to the situation who was very familiar with all the inside workings of these things, who confirmed to me that Brian Steele has been officially retained. And when I say officially retained, my next immediate question to them was, so is he already working with the attorneys? He's clocked in. What level of retained are we talking about? We talking about, okay, the deposit then cleared or whatever y'all done worked out, and he gonna figure it out in the next couple days, next couple weeks. I know y'all go to court on Friday. Or is he officially at work, locked in, ain't no switching up, bad boy baby? What is it given? Is it training day or what? And they said no, he's officially retained. They made it clear an attorney does not do all of this. And when they say all of this, they mean go through the process of getting cleared admissions wise. So submitting the paperwork and having the conversations and the back and forth with the court so that the court can say, hey, you're allowed to come on over here. Yeah, you can come over here. You can sit with us. And here are the rules when you sit with us. An attorney does not do that unless their plan is to get active the minute first day outside. Get active. So I'm told that Brian Steele has already been strategizing with Puff's team since the moment he was cleared admissions wise. Now, Puff does have a court case today, Friday. What's today's date? Friday's date, the 18th. He does have a court case today. In court, they're going to be having a couple conversations. They're going to be talking about whether his case is able to be pushed out 2 months or not. If not, he goes to court in a few weeks. They're going to be able to talk about, this Cassie video and whether this video is going to be able to be used in court as evidence or not. They're still hung up on that. Because what Puff's team is saying is that the video, they're still arguing that the video was distorted. It was an edited version, all of those things. Meanwhile, the prosecution is saying, no, CNN had an original copy of this video, which is what we use. Puff's team is saying, well, bring in a specialist. Let's have someone go through and look at this video. So all of those things are going to be talked about in court, right? So my next question was, well, is Brian still going to be in court on Friday? Is he officially about to pop out? Team Bad Boy Baby? Is that what we're about to see? They could not answer that question for me, but I would not be surprised if that's what we saw. And the only reason why I would not be surprised is because, again, I think that there are some pretty interesting things that are going to happen in court this Friday. Or there are some pretty interesting things that are going to happen in court today as far as conversations. The only reason why I wouldn't be upset at him for not being there on the first day of court is because I think what will end up happening is, because we have not seen much of any discovery from the prosecution when it comes to evidence. We haven't seen any evidence, right? We've just heard about what they're telling us that they have, and the fact that they're telling us they have it. I wouldn't be surprised if Brian still does not show up to court. because what I predict will happen is that Puff's team is going to get granted more time. So they'll get those 2 months to prepare their case. And in preparing their case, Brian Steele will really hone in, get way more familiar, and then he'll pop out after that period. Because when he pops out, I also predict that he's going to kind of lead strategy within this, but I couldn't confirm that. I did try and confirm that and couldn't confirm that, but it would make so much sense, especially after what we just saw him do with Young Thug. So these are some things that we gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta just stay locked for. I also did too ask if, you know, if there was any response from Puff. How is Diddy feeling about Brian Steele being brought onto this case? Does it make him more optimistic? You know, is he excited? Like, how does he feel? Did not get an answer to that, but I will have that answer for you guys. I will have that. I'll have that. But I can say that I was told that the team themselves, you know, the full legal team, is super excited, and that Brian Steele, after, you know, being briefed on everything, kind of, you know, just a bit in order enough to know if he wanted to take the case or not, he is very optimistic that Puff is going to be a free man. And that's a big statement. He is very optimistic that Diddy is going to be a free man. And I don't think he would have signed on to the case to defend him if he did not believe that. So that's kind of like a duh thing. But for me to be able to say that, a source close to this situation who is very familiar with all of the legal inner workings on Diddy's side tells me Brian Steele is very optimistic about Diddy and him being an innocent man when it comes to what he is actually charged with. Now, let's talk about predictions real quick. When it comes to what I think Brian Steele will lean in on, and, you know, what the strategy will be, but specifically for him, I think one of the things, I mentioned this in the last episode, will be the no evidence presented. But I think the way that he's going to do it is, instead of being like, there's no evidence, it's going to be like, his rights were violated. He was put through A, B, C, and D as a high profile man, a wealthy man, like, you know what I'm saying? And because of that, here's everything he lost. Here's everything that was damaged. And there was no evidence presented this whole time. I think Brian Steele is really good at making the people that he represents look like human beings. And the way Puff needs that right now, baby, if Brian Steele is successful at that, listen. But I think that that's one of the things he's going to try and do. I also think that he's going to really hone in on this Cassie video. I think that he is going to, you know, just, again, make it a point of, okay, we saw the video. My client has apologized. But he's not being charged for what we saw in this video. And I think Puff's attorneys tried to do that. Mark Agnifilio tried to do that in the beginning. But he wasn't successful at it. And I think it's because his approach in the court, it just wasn't strong. Like, you didn't even believe him. And I also feel like Puff was advised wrong from the beginning on that video when it came to, like, him acting like it didn't happen, you know, the way that the apology was set up. So this will be a fresh start to build a different narrative around that video. Now, don't get me wrong. That video is so disgusting. I don't know how it will happen. But I think because of the attorney that I know Brian Steele to be, he's going to not try and minimize what we see at all. He's going to make sure that Puff knows he needs to be very empathetic about what we see. He's going to make sure that the court understands that Diddy's team understands what they saw and is also very empathetic to that, because it did not come off that way. It came off as this man who was super powerful and super rich, who does not care about anything. And his team is following right behind him when it comes to that. It's just like doing whatever he wants to do, knocking over buildings and looking back and taking names later. That's how it's felt from the beginning of this. I think Brian Steele is going to come in, and his words and his strategy is going to be to change all of that. And I don't know if that'll be effective. Patrick, did you see the Cassie beating video?
I did.
Do you think that anything someone says at this point can change your mind about how you view Puff after that video?
It's going to affect him heavily in that trial if it's approved to be used as evidence.
Yeah, and that's the only thing. It's like, Brian Steele is damn good, but baby, he got his work cut out for him. He really, really does. And y'all know I try to refrain from cussing, but like the depth of what he's up against, another prediction, if he is able to clear Diddy in this case, this will probably be one of the biggest he got off since O.J. Simpson.
Facts.
Let's talk about that online, y'all. Tweet me about that. Instagram me about that. How do y'all feel? Let's talk about it. Patrick, you said facts. How do you feel about that? That statement is that's a hot take right there.
It is, but I would have to refer back to Mama Loren. It was on episode yesterday, and she was talking about evidence, and she was saying those are two separate. Like, all the stuff they're charging him with is separate from what he did with Cassie on that video. It's going to be used to assassinate his character, of course, but that's separate from what they're charging him with, all these other superseding indictments.
Right. Well, we'll see. Y'all know we'll be back here minding Puff's business, as I always do.